And the first Civil Services Day, which was addressed by Sardar Patel in 1948 on the same date, that was 21st of April. And of course, that is a part of legacy because BOPD at that time was part of the Home Ministry, and therefore the Home Minister had to address that before it later on became a part of the Prime Ministerial charge. And since then, for the almost 6 decades, it was, of course, a very grand affair, being sought after. But without sounding impolite, I would say it was more of a reunion happening. We would have an event for half a day, and all the officers would also get together, the past, present, the superannuated, the serving, and then a chakonsa batch, 60 batch, 65 batch. So that kind of comrades try to combine this fellowship with some kind of an academic activity, which I was used doing when I was actively working as a medical professional. So we try to give it a 2-day format, split it in different sessions, and give it a kind of a theme for every year, and then sub-themes for each of these sessions, which are relevant to the contemporary India, also relevant to the priorities of the government in place, also relevant to the flagship programs of the government. And I'm glad that, of course, in the beginning I was a little apprehensive how the senior bureaucrats would react. But I'm glad that they have cooperated because we live to learn, and the knowledge expansion, or what we say in the scientific terms, the doubling of knowledge is happening so fast that it's not easy to keep pace. And as was being mentioned by Srinivas, on the very first Civil Services Day, Sardar Patel said in the quote, "Your predecessors were brought up in the tradition in which they kept themselves aloof from the common run of the people. And it will be your bounden duty to treat the common man of India as your own." End quote. But the matter of fact is that even before Sardar Patel had finished the freedom, he said you can experiment and then decide whether to move on, how much and not. And we were actually not very sure. But then we could counsel these youngsters. He said, look here, this is good for you. Otherwise, when you straight away go at the age of 25, 26 as SDM, and wow, you are treated like an emperor, you get confused which world you have landed in. And the rest of the life, So it's a great kind of a good leveling happening over here. And this we felt vindicated during COVID times, when each of the members of the ministry were allotted districts to monitor on day-to-day basis. I was monitoring 22 districts. When I would call up, we would call up the collectors and the police heads of the district. The youngster on the other side would say, "Sir, मैं assistant secretary था, आप भूल गए." So that kind of level of confidence among youngsters who would otherwise not be able to visit the central secretariat or have a glimpse of the Prime Minister for an entire service period. And now they look back to it with not only a great degree of nostalgia, but also they look up to some of the seniors with whom they worked as their mentors. Similarly, aspirational district. I think it's a trendsetter, something unique which might not have been tried in government sector across the world. It was a scientific basis laid down on the basis of 30-40 indices which we tried, and not necessarily the backward district. Because we had indices, certain districts may be lagging behind, so how best to bring it at par with the best one on that parameter in the state vis-a-vis best one at the national level, so that there would be a mutual competitive sense and they would be able to determine their own threshold standards. And since I was actively involved along with Amitabh Kant and others, so I think it was a great learning experience. And the young civil servants were so innovative in carrying forward the saturation points. We had a problem, why I'm saying so is that since this is also going to be a learning period for 2 days, we had a joint secretary because as the cabinet secretary was mentioning, the government had appointed for Haris for different aspiration districts. So we had this lady for a northeastern district. The problem was that the gas cylinder would be exhausted, how best to replace it. So she innovated a method. She called the sarpanches there entrusted them with a couple of cylinders. He said, "Okay, आप ही मोहतबर, आप ही leader. आपने बांटना और बाद में मुझे हिसाब दे देना." So it was a win-win situation. The merit of this e-work, even before we were actually confronted with this kind of a problem. And I'm glad to say that the other ministry, known as I was for almost 7 years, we were the first to go e-line nearly 6 years ago, because we realized that we had to remain connected to Shillong when we had the NEC headquarters. Similarly, this is also a government, I'm saying so because being a researcher and a scientific mind, we keep thinking while moving around. Very often this is not realized. Often each government, each politician, each leader, each officer takes pride in narrating, मैंने ये कानून लाया, आप भी रिटायरमेंट के बाद जब सुबह सैर करते हैं, मेरे ज़माने में ये हुआ था, प्रिवेंशन ऑफ करप्शन एक्ट मैंने लाया था, फिर मैंने ऐसे किया, फिर मैंने that you take lot of, you enjoy narrating your anecdote, regardless of whether the others are interested or not. But we do so, that's our human nature. This is a government which would take pride in having said that we did away with many things. 1,500 rules we have done. Within weeks after taking over in 2014, we did away with that gazetted attestation. And I placed before the seniors, I said, this is something which, the kind of background that we come from. When we used to be getting into class 9 or 10, we didn't know where to look for a gazetted officer. So we minds together, we didn't have access. And I remember when I was in class 11, I had to shadow rupees 5, which I also didn't have somebody else paid for. Because a good Samaritan came, he said, "Give me all your certificates, I'll get them attested. I know where the gazetted officer is." Because we didn't know whether he has 2 noses or 3 years, what kind of, who is gazetted, what he looks like. And the Honorable Prime Minister was so supportive, he said, "If that is so," and we actually sent out a message that we have the capacity to trust the citizens of this country, the youth of this country. The Assistant Secretary experiment is another one. This is path-breaking. 3 months of stint. We were not sure how well it would be taken. We actually, why I am saying so, that we have undertaken some of the revolutionary experiments, which a lot of anticipation that they might antagonize those with whom we are experimenting. Like, for example, extending civil services day to a 2-day academic year, and also SSLC. In fact, there were opinions that the states, they would like to go to states straight away, the state cardinal to become SDN. Some of the states also, state governments also.